Great to see you, man. Awesome hitting that break last night, by the way.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it yet, Brian. The video got lost in all the food pics and grandkid posts. There's just too much stuff on Facebook. I don't want to buy protein shakes for my cousin's kid or watch a cat playing piano. Facebook wasn't made for collecting, that's for sure.
Well, Chris, now there's a better way to break.
Well, spit it out. What does that mean?
There's a new platform designed specifically for breaking, created by the pros at Real Sports Cards. It's called Uncommon. When you use Uncommon, you won't see any of the Facebook clutter. You can tune in to a current break in progress, see what's dropping next, browse your favorite card categories, and easily find what you're looking for.
That looks easy as pie. How do I join a break?
You simply click, and your spot is on hold. No more constantly refreshing and commenting to claim teams. Then it safely and securely charges your account. A notification will tell you when the break is about to start, and a live chat lets you cheer each other on.
Well, this is a walk in the park compared to Facebook.
Yep, sure is.
Can I start now?
Absolutely. Visit uncommonapp.com today for a better way to break.
Where has this been all these years? I think I might delete my Facebook now.
What's happening, everyone? Make sure that you can hear us good, you can see us good. Happy Friday! Had a little bit of fun this morning. A little bit of a different Q&A this morning with some testing. Let me know who's here with us. Appreciate you guys hanging out throughout this whole thing. I haven't uploaded any of the break credit yet. A reminder that everyone that was able to check out a spot in this test is going to be getting some break credit.
Yeah. This is just a way for us to bribe you guys to help us test out these new features. Right?
We didn't even get to see who had the. So everyone that participated that was able to check out a spot is getting $5 of break credit. But the person that had the highest differential is getting $50. We didn't even take a look at that. So if you're on Uncommon, if you scroll down, you can see every single team choice, and I think plus 20's got to be the highest there. I think that's got to be the highest. RC Reynolds.
Yeah, so we'll get into this a little bit, and we'll talk about the differential feature and what that means and everything like that. Obviously, we're going to talk our way through this entire break format. We want to hear about your experiences and the bugs and things like that, your ideas, anything that we can tweak. We'll tell you why we did things. You can tell us if you like it, and then we're just going to kind of go through this format because it's a work in progress, and that's why we test this. That's why we get you guys an experience with this feature. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun. Ultimately, once we are completely done with all the software tweaks, everything that we need to do to get this thing firing on all cylinders, like, we think that this is like the greatest change to random team breaks like that's ever been done.
Correct.
Because ultimately what it means is people will get their teams, their desired teams, more often than in a traditional random.
Yeah. So you want to walk through the very start, the idea behind everything, like the initial roots of this format.
Yeah, I haven't seen a new chat yet. So if you're watching, throw a new chat. There we go. There's a new chat. I just want to make sure our chat is locked in and current. So here's the premise behind this break format. Random team breaks can be frustrating, right? I mean, and we get it. We all know what we're signing up for in a random team break. It is what it is. It's always been that way. There's never been anything There's never been anything different. And we just take all of the participants, we throw them into the randomizer, and you get what you get, right? You get whatever team it spits out in the randomizer. We've been doing it that way for 7 years. Other breakers have been doing it that way forever. And that's just the standard way to do random team breaks. We had an idea for how to change this. This idea actually goes back to when I was first breaking, even before Real Sports Cards. Back in like 2010, 2011, I was doing group breaks with a group of friends. Some of those guys are still with us hanging out, which is really cool. But I was doing group breaks with a group of friends where we would randomize a draft order, and then we would pick teams until, and there were usually, like for a baseball break, there were 6 of us, and we would snake draft until we each had 5 teams, right? And so that always allowed us to pick our favorite teams, pick our favorite chase teams, everything like that. I'm like, you know what? Now that we've got a software-based system, now that we've built this app, we can actually bring that back, right? Where we can allow collectors to assign the teams into an order that they would prefer them. And then, because we know people are fans of different teams, right? And a Mets fan's going to raise a Mets spot, and a Twins fan's going to raise a Twins spot. And maybe they're still going to chase the Reds to chase Ellie. Maybe their first pick is still Ellie. And maybe their second pick is still the Yankees with Jason Dominguez. But after those 2 guys, they're like, you know what? If I don't get those 2 guys, then I'd prefer to have my Mets. And they'll raise the Mets, right? Or maybe they're a Cubs fan, and the team that they hate getting in a random the most is the Cardinals. And they're like, any team but the Cardinals, I'm a Cubs fan. They can put the Cardinals all the way at the bottom, and they only have a 1 in 30 chance now. If they get the 30th pick, well, but if they get the 30th pick, maybe they get stuck with the Cardinals. But the reality is somebody else probably had the Cardinals higher, and so somebody else is probably going to get the Cardinals, and so you may never have to have that team ever again, right? So ultimately, you guys can see this now if you're on the app, and we encourage you to participate in the Q&A session on Uncommon so that you can see what we're talking about. But now you can see the draft order and what team the person picked, and we're intentionally designed this thing to show you what choice it was of theirs and the differential on that choice, right? So the differential is how much better did they do on their preference list than their draft slot, right? So if we go over this real quick, the number 1 Bone fan here, their number 1 choice was the Reds. They got the number 1 pick. That's the easy one. The number 1 pick is always going to get their number 1 choice in the drafter, right? The number 2 pick, Eller got the Yankees, but that was actually their number 1 choice of team. So even though they got the number 2 pick, they got their number 1 choice of team, which is a +1 differential. You'll see that highlighted in green with the arrow 1, the up arrow 1, showing that they did 1 spot better than their actual draft order slot, right? Going down a little bit, we'll show like R. Huey with the 8th overall pick in the draft. Think about this as like the NFL draft or a fantasy draft, right? With the 8th overall pick in the draft, R. Huey actually got their number 1 choice of teams, the Pittsburgh Pirates. So he got his number 1 pick with the 8th with the 8th slot.
Someone said, Maddie said the Tigers at 21st spot.
Yeah, we'll go down. Yeah, in the 21st overall pick in the draft, R.C. Reynolds picked the Tigers, which was their number one choice. They got their number one team with the 21st pick in the draft. And that's our biggest differential. That's the plus 20 differential. And you can see every single spot out of here, every single spot, go all the way down to the bottom. Except for number one pick, which can't have a positive differential.
Correct.
Every single spot got a team higher than their draft slot. And so ultimately, everyone should walk out of this break feeling like they did better than if it was just a pure random.
Yep.
And that's the goal. Like the goal is you walk out of the random with a better team than what you would have otherwise gotten in a pure random.
Even with some of these guys, like Chris asked about how did they get their 26th choice. You know, they get 29th, 28th, 30th in the random, in the draft random, but they're still getting their, you know, TJ at 29 got his 26th choice. He still had a plus 3 differential.
Well, I think the important one to call out here is the 30th slot.
Right.
Right? In a pure random, the 30th spot, you know, is the worst team, right?
Correct.
That's the worst team in the break. But actually, Big Card Sam got their 22nd slot selection, right? In the 30th pick. So instead of just arbitrarily getting the worst team in a random, they actually got their 22nd choice with the Nationals. No one got their 30th choice. Like,
right.
No one got their worst team.
And like Jake said, I mean, that's a perfect call out. You can only do the same as you would in a random or better. There's no negative differentials.
There's no negative differentials. You can only do better in this break format than in a random team format.
Correct.
So, there's literally no downside.
Yep.
A question Oswald's has, do we run the random placement like normal? Yes, we take the list in the order of the spots that were claimed.
Yeah, so it's in the order that they were claimed. We copy that into our randomizer.
Yep.
And that video is available on YouTube now if you go onto our YouTube.
Yeah, so we recorded this.
Yep.
We recorded the randomization part of it. So we copy the list in the order that teams are claimed, which is the exact same way that we do it for random teams. We throw that list into random.org. We run the randomizer the exact same way that we used to. And the results, instead of taking those results and matching them up to a team's list that's alphabetical, those results are the draft order of the random, right? And so we then take that draft order, we put that into Uncommon, and then the Uncommon software uses everybody's locked-in grids to auto-select people's highest team when it's their turn.
And that happens instantly. So right when you hit save, if you see in the random, right when I hit save and enter those names in, then those names automatically populate with the draft all completed, and then that's where you see the differentials and everything.
And so we don't have to wait on somebody to make a pick, right? I mean, part of the reason that we can automate this with software is we don't have to wait for somebody to make their pick when it's their turn, right? I mean, that's kind of the drag of doing a draft,
right?
Is waiting on somebody. We've done this with hit drafts in the past, right? So with hit drafts in the past, we did it in Facebook Messenger, and you had to count on that person being there to make their pick. And that's why we have the teams locking in before. Now, remember, this is a beta test, right?
Right.
This is literally the first live beta test of this feature. We're taking all of your feedback on how it worked, what worked well, what was smooth, what wasn't smooth, so that we can go back, refine it. I mean, think about, for those of you who are with us when we launched Uncommon to start, every break was a beta test, right? So that's where we're at in the process. This was the beta test morning. Maybe we might have to run another one. We'll push an update. We'll run another one. We'll really dial this in and refine this, so that it works really smoothly.
It's probably a good time to go through. I took screenshots of all your guys' comments, so I think we can go over kind of the list that we have of things that may not have worked perfectly correctly.
Yeah, well, there are some questions.
Yeah,
So, one, how long do you have to put your teams in order? 20 minutes, right? Or
15.
is it 15?
15.
15 minutes.
From when you check out.
From after you check out. Once you check out and that teams list pops up for you to move around, you have 15 minutes to lock your teams in
order.
place,
Yep.
right? And at the 15-minute point, if that timer expires, it's going to lock it in whatever order you have them. So we think 15 minutes is enough time to go through and lock your teams in, right? Assuming that it works smoothly, easily, great, we'll get there, right? So you have 15 minutes to do that.
That's exactly it, Gabe. You're setting your queue of teams, just like in fantasy. If you have a fantasy football draft, you can't be there for it. You put all your players in order in the draft order that you want them and set it and forget it.
Yeah, so we're open to suggestions and ideas here too. I mean, Brad Newton, we'll run it through. We have user interface experts that work with us on this project. So like we can bring them ideas. They can tell us how they think it work, how maybe it wouldn't work. Brad said here, took a while to get used to the up and down. One suggestion would be a plus and a minus on the right side, to actually be able to do that. It may be easier than sliding.
Slide.
Maybe we can certainly bring that back to our UI team and see if that's something that is feasible.
Yep.
Yep.
I think one of the big
we definitely
things is,
have limitations. Even with sliding, we have limitations on the amount of real estate that we're working with on a cell phone. So we gotta play with that. Obviously, we've never done a slide feature like this before. So the truth is there's probably just tweaking and refining. They may come back and say, hey, plus and minus would be doable, but we can just make the slide better. Like, let us try to tweak it, make the slide better, so that there's no problems. It's easy, everything like that. It's not sticky. It goes where people want. Like, we can refine a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
Right. So, there's one. It kept trying to copy the bottom toolbar. As if people are touching the screen and holding it,
and then it's
and
copying
holding
that.
it. Is it recognizing that as a copy maneuver rather than a grab and slide maneuver?
Yep.
So we can go in. That's a great point for us to know because we can provide that feedback. Our team can go in, make sure, hey, this system knows when we're here, these guys aren't trying to copy things; they're trying to grab them and move them around.
Yep.
Right.
So that'll be one of the big things that we look into. We saw that from that comment from a handful of people that the sliding wasn't working perfectly. So we'll definitely look at that to be tweaked and improved.
So Maddie Light said, I didn't get a team as the original list in alphabetical order in order of best to worst team.
The original list when it's listed like when people are checking out is in best to worst team by pick your team value. So if you don't do anything, if you check out a spot and you just save, don't mess around with the draft order at all, your choices will be locked in from top to bottom on best team to worst team. So for this instant was the Reds as like series 1, and then one of the
Yankees,
like the
Yankees were number 2.
and then like the Nationals at the bottom or something like that.
Is Maddie in the break?
No, he said he didn't get a spot.
Oh, you didn't get a spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you can choose
We're
and
gonna
slide based off
we're
that.
gonna default. We're always gonna default the teams into an order that's based on their pick your team slot value, right? So if you just want the best value team at your pick, you don't have to move anything. You can just lock them in the default order if you just want value based draft order, right? So that's how we wanted to do that. So some questions about locking in teams and unlocking teams. And we'll tell you some of our assumptions, and you can tell us if you like them or if you have other ideas. But what we did is that you can only lock teams one time. That's what we did. One of the things here is before we can run the random and do the draft, we need all 30 spots locked in, right? And one of the challenges with reopening is that there are a couple variables that pop up. If we let somebody reopen, and you can tell us if you like it or not, one, it would start a new 15-minute timer, right? So it can prolong the process. It would start a new 15-minute timer. Two, if they reorder the teams but haven't locked them in when that 15 minutes expire, does it default to their previously locked in order, or does it now lock in their new unconfirmed order?
Right.
Like, so that's one variable. Like, what's a better scenario? Defaulting back if we allow people to open it back up, or locking in something that maybe not complete yet when that timer expires. But ultimately, if people can reopen, then the challenge is that they're resetting. We'd have to figure out how to do that where ultimately they'd be resetting a 15-minute shot clock every time somebody reopened, and that could essentially happen in perpetuity. Unless we set like a hard stop at 30 minutes before break time, and it no longer
you can
no longer open.
Yeah. And Jake, I'm not sure how easily integratable with the tech side as like an automatic save with every change is. That might be an entirely different thing that wasn't added initially.
Yeah. But again, how we roll this out, this is something where I think we have to get it to a certain point where the usability of it is good, so that we can start using it. But that doesn't mean that it never has to change.
Correct.
Right? So we'll get this feature to a point where the sliding and rearranging of teams is easy. We're not having accidental locks, all of those kinds of things. We'll roll out the feature, and then we'll continue to evolve that feature to make it better and over time. So some of this, Jake, is we want to get this feature to market. I mean, you're a software dev, you understand MVP, so we want to get this feature so that it works, that it's good. We'll roll it out to the market as MVP, and then we'll have an opportunity to continue to evolve it and tweak it and build on it to make it a better experience.
Yep. And that's 100%. We need to hear from you guys on all that. So I appreciate all the suggestions, everything. You look at from when we started Uncommon, how many different things we improved due to feedback from you guys. So make sure you continue talking to us. Jake, I mean, I dropped my email in the chat earlier. We're always open to suggestions, thoughts, comments on everything. I mean, that's a nice thing about us owning Uncommon for ourselves is we can implement those changes as we see fit, as you guys help us see fit for the betterment of the entire community.
Right. Yeah. So ultimately, what I hope that everybody's getting out of this is some excitement about the fact that this break format is fantastic improvement over purely random teams. I don't think I've seen a single comment that says, I think I prefer random teams. So I'm excited to see this feature evolve. I mean, it actually gives me a little bit of joy to see all of the positive differentials. Yeah. And when people I know this was just kind of for fun and for play, and so people were just kind of playing with it and moving things around. But once we start having people do actual real breaks and moving teams into spots where they actually want these spots,
right.
Like it's actually kind of gives me a little bit of joy knowing that collectors are going to be getting their teams more often.
Yep.
than not, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's like, as a collector first, like I'm like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, the whole idea is, okay, if I don't get the best 3 teams, then I want my team.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can be happy with that. You have your spot. You have your PC team, and
Think
and
about
go
this
from
from a perspective of different products, right? Bowman Draft.
there. Right.
Bowman Draft comes out, and you're chasing, 3 specific guys or 4 specific guys. Your prospect chase list could be completely different than pick your team price list.
Yep.
And you still might take, Wyatt Langford and Max Clark as your
1 and
top
2.
2 picks for Bowman Draft, but then you're elevating, a Jacob Wilson to number 3,
Right.
or you're elevating
Cole Young.
Colt
Colt
Emerson.
Colt Emerson. Yep.
Colt Emerson to the number 3 spot. And, I just think that, this is going to allow people to do that so much more easily, chase the cards that they want to chase. So ultimately, it's like, for a pick your player. Yeah, Jake says, I dread this for a randomized pick your player with 250. We actually talked about that the other day.
We were talking about that with like a Bowman's Best, for example, except not doing it in price order for a default. So we give you guys 100 spots. You have to adjust every single spot.
We
yourself.
won't give you the values. We'll do a pick your player or a random a drafted player in this format without giving you the values, and then you have to know all of the players to be able to put them in an order. Now we'll see how big of collectors you guys really are, right?
So Eric asked, and I'm not sure what you're thinking on this right now, Ryan, after the initial test. When does the first break happen like this?
Well, so I think it's safe to say, I think originally we were hoping to try this tomorrow night with Series 1.
Yeah.
So my gut says we take all of this back. We don't roll it out tomorrow night.
Right.
I think what we don't want is we don't want people to have bad experiences in a real setting.
Right.
Right. So I don't want people to, struggle with locking things in, struggle with moving things around, have something get locked in that they didn't want or didn't like, and then end up with a team that they're not happy with. We just, there's no amount of money that's worth it for us for you guys to have a bad experience. So what we'll do, we'll take this back to our team. We'll take a lot of the features and ideas and concerns and bugs that you guys have. We'll make some tweaks before we bring it back, and we'll run another test like this before we run it in. It may not be perfect when, maybe we run 2 tests and it's close enough and we decide to run some breaks on it. But I think we can get it better than how it performed today.
Correct.
Before running a break on it.
Yep.
So we'll do that.
And we can probably even do, I know we did with the Mega Multipliers when we were testing, just a regular random break. We could do like a 50 spot or 100 spot potentially to get more people able in there and messing around with it.
Maybe, or we just run a couple.
A few 30 spotters.
I think we start introducing bugs and variables that aren't normal if we're going beyond 30 spots. Right? Because now you're scrolling 100 spots down, and how do I move something from 99 up to 2?
Correct.
And I think that's an unnatural thing, so we'll probably stick with 30, but we can run multiples to give people. We mentioned it before. Everyone who helped us and jumped in and grabbed a spot today is getting a $5 credit. And then the biggest differential of the day
was plus 20.
RC Reynolds is getting a $50 break credit for the plus 20 differential with the Astros. We could run another one right now.
Yeah, I can just duplicate this.
You guys want a chance at some more break credit? Let's do it. Let's do that real quick. Let's do another shot at break credit. Emil's going to create a new break. Now, don't forget, This is still a contest. You may not get in. It's the first 30 people. So if you don't get one of those 30 spots, don't be frustrated. Don't be mad at
What
us.
time do we want to drop it? It's 9:55. We can drop it at 10.
Drop it at 10. Drop it right at 10. We won't go live with that one.
Nope.
But we can still run the random, everything like that. Play with it. Now here's the catch, right? Now you're trying to get the biggest differential. Does that a change?
I know everyone was saying you
If you're
get the
trying,
roast
if
team,
you're trying to get, if you're trying to get $50, you got to figure out what team how you raise those teams to get that biggest differential. Everybody's going to get 5. Everybody's going to get $5, but one person with the biggest differential is going to get 50. So we're going to drop that test. It is dropping soon right now with a 3-minute countdown timer. So pop over there. And let's see how that rolls.
I'm gonna miss complaining about Emil giving me a bad team in the random. Now I can only complain about the draft slot that he gave me.
Seriously.
Yeah. So you buy a spot. These are a $0 checkout. So you can grab the spot, check it out, $0 checkout, and then it prompts you to rank your teams.
Oh, we didn't want to charge him $50 for this one. Just making sure we're all good there. Yep, so it'd be exact same copy, exact same thing that we did for this first draft. And we're gonna do the same break credit prizes, right?
Yeah, we'll do the same break credit.
All right, perfect. So
Everybody
5.
gets 5. Everybody gets 5 that successfully checks out a team, and you got 1 spot max on there. I'm
Yep.
sure you did
Yeah.
because you copied it, right?
Yep. One
perfect.
spot max is locked in.
Bingo. 1 spot max. Check it out.
There's no close button on the one spot max, Ellie. If you want to pre-rank without buying a team, you can pre-rank in your. I'm not sure what I think that's.
Well, so yeah, it does not give you an opportunity to pre-order.
Right. So yes, Chris, you have to buy a spot.
You have to
before
buy.
You rank
Yeah,
your teams.
you have to buy a spot, and then it gives you a 15-minute timer to rank your teams.
Correct. Yep. 100%. And if you guys are trying to check out, and if you do get through, and if you're messing around, make sure you take notes. If you can, take screenshots.
Take notes. Take screenshots. Take screen recordings.
Just so we can, the more data and the more information we have from you guys, the better on when we go back to our development team and say, this wasn't working perfectly. We want to tweak this a little bit. The most data we have on.
Yeah,
that
if you
is-
guys can turn on your screen recorder on your phone for the whole process, then
Yep.
that would be awesome
That'd
too.
be huge.
That would be huge.
I got 5 devices and accounts ready to go here.
Let's hook up to the Fiverr real quick. I'm just gonna see how it looks without trying to claim a spot on.
Yeah, I mean it should look exactly the same as a random team break.
Yep.
Yeah, when you're recording your screen, don't actually go and show us your browser history.
Especially not that cross check guy.
Especially cross-check.
Make sure you get the credit card info on the checkout.
All right, 20 seconds. So we'll probably see you guys here in a little bit.
Brian's actually accidentally gonna buy into the Series 1 random that's dropping right now.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, there's a Series 1 random.
Tom's dropping right now as
There-
well.
Yeah, don't accidentally buy into the Series 1 random that's dropping right now. Otherwise, you're stuck. Actually, everybody should be buying into
Everyone
that
should be
break
buying into that
anyways.
I got one in the cart easy. You guys are slow. I threw it back right away.
Titus got one into the cart and put it back. That's how slow you guys are. Titus snagged one.
There's still 5 available.
You have that one open here on the back end. All right, so we're showing everybody's got their timers open. So looks like all the there's 4 spots left
That haven't been checked out yet.
that haven't been checked out, so they could still be in a cart.
Yep. 2 spots are not in carts. You find if I check one out and screen record just to mess around with it?
Yeah, no, just
Yep. I don't want to. They're all claimed anyways.
Amo magically wins the 50.
let's see who the first person. Give us a refresh. Let's see who the first person to lock in is. Boom, there's a lock. Brad Newton. I'm gonna go with. You think that we could guess which team Brad Newton throws up top?
But we won't, if he gets a bad spot in the draft, then we won't actually be able to see that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so we don't actually
We don't
see the
actually
draft
get to
order.
see everybody's individual draft
Correct.
order,
All right, so
but we
everyone
can
checked
guess.
out.
There's another lock. Eric's locked. Eric Bowker.
Cross-check locked.
GPK Card World is locked. Crosscheck is locked.
You cannot use break credit for that one, Ellie. This would be a great format for Series 2 hockey.
Ooh. Yeah, Gabe says he's having trouble on iPhone dragging. Yep.
Yeah, Gabe, make sure that you're screen recording that for me, please, and shoot me a PM with that. That's some of the feedback we were having on the first drop as well. So obviously nothing has changed, so we're just giving you guys an opportunity to test it out.
Ah, see? Brad confirmed it. I knew it. I knew it, Brad.
It's weird that it's doing that even.
Yeah, make a note.
Yeah, even
All right.
though it's in the full.
It's full, but it's still allowing us to click it.
Yeah.
It's not progressing to the checkout, but
Right. Yeah, Steve, if you're watching, I think I heard Steve. If you're watching, even though it's in the full, it still has one spot available to be clicked on. But then just kind of,
Yep.
So that's a little bug there.
Yep. All right, let's refresh and see how many lockers we have.
It's still about
There,
halfway
Dread
through.
Pirate Roberts. I had to reload to be able to do my ranking. Make sure you make a note on what device you're using. Also, make sure that you're using, if you're using like the downloaded app from the App Store.
Which everyone should be
Everybody
using.
needs to be on the downloaded app from the App Store. Or if you're still using the mobile web bookmark that we did originally when we launched, you want to get rid of that and make sure you're on the downloaded app from the App Store.
Yep. If you guys are screen recording, if you're connected with me on Facebook already, you can PM it there. For those of you that are not, I'm going to drop my email in the chat as well.
Tom's random is the normal random. So we're not doing any actual breaks on the new drafted teams style until we get a chance to work through all the bugs and get everything working.
All right,
Let's see where we're at. We're still waiting on a couple people to lock.
So we got Brian Stanley, Booney, Matty Lights, Ellie, Joey Purcell, Ebet Mendez, Willie
Willie
Deutsch, High Ground Gabe, Big Card Sam, and Rita Dare that have not locked in.
Yep, that we're still waiting on some locks.
So then we can go through and run that random now.
Yeah,
Or
we'll run
once
it.
it's all locked
once
in,
we're all
we'll do it
locked.
on this same stream.
I think putting a number in would work. I think ideally,
Yeah, that one's tough because
that's so hard
I
though
don't think we
because
can do that one.
then you have to make sure like you don't have two of the same numbers or
Yeah.
all kinds of things like that. I think ultimately, the sliding feature can work better and is going to be the best solution.
Yep. So it sounded like it sounded like we had a couple comments like that on the first one too, Jake, where it it was just
On desktop.
randomly locking choices, but then you refresh and it doesn't. It's
Yeah.
not actually locked.
Yep. We heard that the first time around too, so that'll be something
Okay.
to take a look at.
Yep. Awesome, Carlos. Appreciate that a ton. And Carlos, you're on the actual downloaded app from the Google Play Store. I think we talked about that before.
Oh, so yeah, if they have to hit refresh, it defaults it back to the original order too. So it's not doing the incremental. Incremental saving would help solve that
Yep.
issue.
Yep.
But obviously, we want the bug to go away entirely.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I think someone had made that note too, Gabe, where if you're choosing a bottom team all the way to the top, that it's not like you can't scroll all the way up, you can't drag all the way up. You have to stop and then go again.
It wants you to get you part way there and then move it again.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, looking forward.
Just a few more guys to
5 more.
to lock in here.
4 more
Four
here.
more.
Big Card Sam, High Ground, Willie, and Brian. Right, and that's what Andy Bishop. So John was talking about how we kind of this test scenario is a little bit different because you're not necessarily.
Yeah.
I would expect most of you to not drag
The bottom team all the way to the top.
Correct.
That's not going to be a normal use case.
Yeah.
The normal use case, I think, is going to be I'm going to leave the top 2 or 3 teams alone, and then I'm going to raise my favorite team to number 4, and then these 6 teams are all pick your team value the same, but I prefer one of them over the other 5.
Right.
Like those are the kind of changes we expect in real life use.
Yep.
People are going to make, but we still want to, if we get it working for all scenarios, then it's just going to be smoother.
Yep.
But yeah, I think what you're going to see is those behaviors are the more common behaviors.
And Jack, I think we're gonna go back and try to fix the sliding. It's not supposed to work like this. It is supposed to be really seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a beta. That's why we're doing $0 with a break credit reward for helping us test this out, right? So ultimately, we know touch phones can do better. We know click and drag can do better. This is our first time rolling it out and testing it. And so we're going to be able to take all this feedback, go back, refine it, and keep working towards it being a smooth experience.
Yep. Xavier, I'll make a note. I'll reach out. I'll talk to our PSA guys for you. I don't have that answer off the top of my head. I'm assuming you're not doing anything wrong, but we'll look into it. And if there is something that's going on, then I'll let you know. So I'll get back to you sometime this afternoon with that.
Right? Gabe said, yeah, imagine making everyone use their brain and not putting values on the teams.
We talked about that.
Yeah, right?
We're gonna do it with a 100-spot random player break. So,
Yeah.
you guys really have to dig in.
Random player, we'll see how well you know those players. And then we'll throw some players in there that aren't even on the checklist. And then we'll see. And then we'll see where you put those guys. Now you not only have to be a player expert, but you have to be a checklist
Product expert, exactly.
Are we almost locked? Brian Stanley is the last one.
Brian Stanley and
And
Sam.
Big Card Sam
Yep.
are the last ones to lock.
Yep. Which could be. I know we saw a little bit of.
It could be glitchy too.
If they're
it
saying
could be,
they're locked.
yeah,
then maybe
it could be
is.
glitchy reasons.
Right.
But if they're over there, they're not here listening to us right now.
Correct.
Anyways,
Yep.
Gabe, I'm sure you'll do fine with a bunch of 6s.
He gave it a nice one. He hit that LA Silverpack auto in Titus's
Ooh.
player break.
Nice.
So again, guys, once we get those last 2, and I'm assuming they might end up just timing out in about 4 or 5 minutes here.
Yeah, there's a chance that those 2 slots, glitched or bugged out, and so now we just have to wait for the timer to go, and that's why we have the timer in place.
Right.
One is so people can't disappear and then
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, Carlos, that's a good point. There's some of these guys would be right on that with exact changes to that.
We could do like if you find the player who's not on the checklist and put him at the number one pick, you win $100.
Right. So Willie has an interesting question, which I don't know if you want to touch on.
Yeah. So Willie said, can we do a live draft? Maybe even use it for the hit draft breaks you used to do. So we're not publicizing this. This is just some behind the scenes knowledge for you guys. This is a stepping stone technology for us. I really like the idea of being able to take this technology and then applying it to hit drafts. Ultimately, it would change a little bit in how we do it, but how I envision a hit draft. And when I say hit draft, I'm thinking about a product like National Treasures, like these high-end products, National Treasures. We do Archives Signature Series in the past with hit drafts, and we always had to wait for people to pick in Messenger. But ultimately, what we could do here with this technology is, or Clear Cut Hockey is a good example to do a hit draft on. We could do it as a random, right? Mm-hmm. As a hit, a hit draft break, right? Everybody grabs their spot. We either randomize the draft order before or randomize the draft order after the break. But ultimately, then after we open all of the cards, we put the cards into Uncommon as images, and then the people who are in the break can slide the cards around into their draft order in the order that they would pick them.
Yep.
And so let's just say it's a 20-box case with 20 hits. With 20 hits, you'd be putting the 20 cards in the order that you would want to draft them, lock it in, and everybody would have, maybe it's 15 minutes after the break is completed and the pictures of the cards are uploaded to lock in their draft order, and then boom, auto draft.
Yep.
On the hit draft.
So no more waiting at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Someone that fell asleep.
Somebody
to make
fell
their
asleep,
pick.
and now they aren't there to make their draft pick.
No more me being live with a break and having to pause the break to go and try to solve a problem with someone
with
not
a draft,
picking and
with a draft pick.
All that.
So.
So that is kind of this is one of the stepping stones toward that we're thinking of, and obviously that one's a bit more far out.
Yeah, that one's a little further out. We got to get this working, everything like that. We've got a few other things in front of that for future feature development. But that's, if this goes smoothly, people actually crush it and love it, then that could influence where that hit draft feature goes.
All right, so we're just about timed out on the last spot. I'm gonna get my randomizer set
All right,
up.
We're gonna see how people do on this differential. You guys, you can pop over if you want and see how you did.
And I'll be able to show it if you just stay on the video.
But we can show our screen here, so you actually don't have to leave.
Yep. I can just stay right on this screen and do the random.
You don't have to leave the chat here to go see how that works.
Yep.
We're actually going to show our screen right now so you can see how we do that.
Yep,
we got a minute and 20 seconds left before the last spot's timeout.
Yep. Just get everything ready to go. And we can even walk through the exact random and how it's done and answer those questions there.
And we'll even we'll go to that break.
Yep.
We can go to that break on our screen, so you can see the randomizer on our screen. Then you'll be able to see that break on our screen. We'll look at the default or the differentials together and everything like that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Willie, that's the same idea with the drafted teams break is different than individual cards, but it's that same ideology where if you don't get one of the best couple cards, you'll take a card for PC. It's like same like this. If you don't get the best couple teams in the random, we want you to have the best shot at a team that you actually do care about. in the random team break and in this drafted team format.
Yep.
All right, so 10 seconds left here. It is not supposed to disappear in the draft. We realized that was
Yeah, we
a
saw that. We
glitch.
saw that bug in the first one too. So, yep. Thanks for letting us know on that one.
And I believe that in this first one, the chat came back right when I put the teams.
As soon as we assigned the draft order,
Yep,
the chat came back.
correct.
Yeah.
All right, so we are all locked in now. So I will switch you guys over to the desktop here. So again, you can stay on this main screen on this video. I'll switch you over to the desktop. And this is our drafted teams test number 2. You can see I still have the chat open. We got all of our open breaks here right now. And then the chat for that one. But that's because I didn't check out a spot. So
Yeah, and what we're seeing is that if you checked out a spot, the chat disappeared on some people.
correct.
That
Yep.
are on
Oh, we got it.
that are on desktop.
Here, let me fix this face view. There we go. That way you guys can see a little bit
Oh, you
more
can
what's
see a little
going
bit
on.
better.
Yep. All right, so there's drafted teams test number 2, and this is what I was talking about with the chat there. But that chat should be open if the glitches if you didn't or if you checked out.
Yep.
So here we got our randomizer. So this is and again, what we're randomizing is the draft order.
Right.
So,
So Jake was the first person
to check out.
to check out a team.
Yep, and GPK Car World was the
Got the
30th
last- got the
person.
last spot.
But we are going to random the draft order, so we can get into that.
In the same exact way that we would have done the randoms for a random team break.
Yep, dice roll 4 or higher as always. And again, this is the same exact thing you guys are used to. We'll go all 8 rounds here. And number 8, so Sleepy Panda got first choice, then GPK Card World and Jake Bauer. So what I'm going to do here is I first got to throw our link into Uncommon. I will grab our list, or our draft order.
So
Tommy
that's our
Pickles.
draft order. Tommy Pickles got the last spot, but we'll see what the differential is on that spot.
So I'll throw that in, save it,
And boom.
grab our verification code. This might load up automatically, but
Yeah,
I'll
it's
throw the
gonna load for
verification
people.
code. And then we
Let's
can
see a
refresh.
refresh.
And there is
Boom.
our draft order. So Sleepy Panda,
Number 1 pick. Always going to get their number 1 choice.
yep. Number 2, we can see how many guys
Oh, wow.
got
Look
the
at
first choice.
the top 5 picks all got their first choice.
Pretty impressive.
I mean, this is real world
Yeah, 100%.
applicable stuff here, right? Like, literally, there is no other break format that exists where 5 people can get their favorite team,
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
their
100%.
number 1 pick team.
Yep. So we can scroll down. Let's see who got the highest differential. Number 10, Ellie De La Booze Cruz
Ellie De La Booze Cruz
is
with,
in the lead right
with
now.
the 11th pick got their first team.
Impressive. Oh, there he gets beat out. Oh, we got a
Oh,
string
look at this.
of them.
Uh-oh. Big Card Sam.
We got a string of them.
Oh, he got his first choice.
The Nationals with the 19th pick. With the first choice there.
Oh,
and
he
there's
gets
the 19.
sniped. Tigers.
BJ with the plus 19.
Oh, my
okay.
word.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my goodness. There it is. He got...
He went hard.
Gabe went hard with the 28th overall pick. He gets his first choice of the Rockies
Oh.
and a plus 27 differential.
That's hilarious.
Booyah for a $50 break credit.
That's hilarious.
That's
awesome.
epic.
Congrats, Gabe, on that one.
That is epic.
All right, we'll switch back here. But so that runs through, and again, so it is.
How many people got their first choice?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10.
So 10 out of 30 people actually got their first choice.
Yep. And again, for those of you watching in, this is the draft order, which we randomed off on the left side. So that draft order is the same. The team you guys got, what choice you got, and the spots differential that you improved based on your draft order to your choice.
There's definitely a bug if Gabe won.
Seriously, something's wrong. Something's wrong. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger again. There we
Definitely
go.
a bug if Gabe won.
That Jake, yeah, we're not gonna see that
Yeah.
sort of behavior on
Right.
a regular break.
Right. Again, that what you guys were goofing off doing is not normal normal selection behavior. Like I said, I've mentioned already. I would expect in an actual break, people are going to leave the couple top teams with the biggest rookie chases or biggest prospect chases or highest value teams alone, and then they're going to move their favorite team up. They're going to move a team that they hate down, and that's going to be normal behavior.
So Brad, I'm assuming. So Brad says he picked the Mets for number 1, and they went after he was up. So I think that might be in that realm of things saving incorrectly, or for some people if it timed out. Brad, are you on desktop? Are you on phone, or what system are you on?
See if you can find it. So Brad had Mets for number 1.
But they would have been no. They went before you.
Yeah, so they went. So that's the correct way. So somebody drafted them before you, Brad. That's why you didn't get them when it was your turn.
Yeah.
When so if you think about this from a fantasy football draft, the Mets were already off the board when it got to your pick. So that did that correctly.
Yep. You can't get your first choice if it was drafted by someone before, because even though it was C. Ordner's 16th choice, that was their highest team available at that 19th pick.
Right. So at their pick, the Mets were their highest team available.
Yep.
And so they get the Mets. It comes off the draft board, so the Mets aren't available when it gets to your pick, even though that was your top selection.
Correct.
Yep.
So that did work correctly there. Ridadair, we are not planning on doing that for every break, because we don't want people.
No.
That I think that gets weird when you have people choosing the worst team up and then intentionally trying to do bad on a break. This is just the testing for
Right.
for the new feature.
We're doing this. Oh, Brad was looking at the number 1
Right.
test. So yeah, we're doing this just as a test to give you guys a little break credit as fun to help us test this stuff out. But yeah, I mean, we're not gonna do that on actual breaks. We want people to actually be putting teams where they want them rather than just purely gamifying it to try and win some money.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
Boom.
Any other thoughts or questions that we noticed in that second drop that we didn't see in the first drop, or all pretty much the same? I mean, we saw the same exact
similar
stuff.
bugs, similar user experience things.
Yep.
I don't think we saw anybody pop up anything that was
New.
really a new one that we hadn't seen before.
Right. Yep. I'm kind of scrolling through some of the comments here.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, I think that was a great test. Amo will be loading people's break credit later this afternoon or later today.
Yeah, rid of there, and that's good. I mean, I think we can still improve it, obviously, but as people start using it more, just naturally, if you'll get used to it, then that'll be with any case. But we are gonna take a look at making it better regardless.
Yeah. Jake, and this is a separate topic, but Jake, this is a Q&A. Jake throws something out there.
Yeah, and Brad asked about market questions. Yeah, I think we can open
yeah,
up
yeah.
to,
Yeah,
to different stuff.
let's open it up. We got a little bit of time. I mean, we've been live for an hour and a half, but we'll give it a little bit of time.
Yep.
Jake said with store credit, with channel credit, can we bank that instead of saving it up so that we can, accumulate it and use it towards something big? So one of the challenges that we've had there, Jake, is, we have auto applying for channel credit, and then we're not auto applying uncommon credit, and people aren't realizing that they have the credit if it's not auto applying. So like right now we have like $40,000 in outstanding uncommon credit in people's accounts that they haven't used, which tells me that, and a lot of these are people who have been buying, right? And so what that tells me is that they just don't realize they have to hit the apply credits button. So we're trying to figure out how to manage break credits, channel credits, and platform credits so that everybody knows that they have it. It's easily identifiable,
Easy to use
easy
in
to
checkout.
use in checkout and everything like that. So we may be playing with that a little bit, but like I said, we've got a few heavy hitter things that we're working on that are kind of covering the next few months. But we'll get that in the log as something to take a closer look at down the road. All right, let's see what else we got.
Brad asked about Series
All right, Brad Newton, lots of debate around print runs for Series 1. I'm seeing less numbered parallels in breaks compared to years past. Do I think the print run is through the roof for this release? No, actually, it's down. There are actually Series 1 print run is down this year from last year slightly. The reason that you're seeing, there are other reasons where that can affect the amount of color in a break, right? The thing that we found in looking at pack odds and everything like that is, one, last year they really increased it from the previous year on color.
Correct.
And then this year they dialed it back to about halfway between last year, between 2023 and 2022. So they kind of dialed it back. And what they did is they dispersed that color to other package configurations. So they're trying to, essentially what they did this year is they're trying to play with the balance of color between jumbo and hobby and retail. And so last year, retail was really, really, really scarce from a color perspective. So they just rebalanced color a little bit from jumbos, which were a little overcolored according to Topps, overcolor, and redistributed some of that color, reallocated it to retail to make it slightly better than it was last year. So actually print runs are down. And it was just a little bit of rebalancing on color distribution from packaging formats. So hopefully that helps answer the question. But one of the things that I really like that they did, is they put more chase elements in to Series 1 this year than they've ever had.
Yep.
I think ever. Like now, it's not just hits that you're chasing. It's not just an auto and 2 relics in a jumbo box. Last year, they added the Golden Mirror, which was a brand new chase element. This year, they added the Team Color Parallels, which are an epic chase with value. Like,
For sure.
bigger than normal hits.
Yep.
They added the full image variation,
Yep.
which is a great value and are going to sell really well.
They look epic too.
They look fantastic. They made home field advantage harder to hit. They made heavy lumber harder to hit. So actually, I think there's more value chase in Series 1 jumbos this year than there was last year, even though there was a little bit more color because of those unique chases that essentially become extra hits,
And-
in my opinion, especially from a value perspective.
And don't water down like the HFAs, because if you're seeing 1 or 2 of those per case, you're hitting the same 15 guy checklist every single time.
Oh yeah, they added the Kevin Hart.
Yeah. The
So if
Kevin
you guys
Hart
haven't seen this, you might not have seen this on social media. It wasn't announced by Topps. Topps did a Kevin Hart like a Kevin Hart variation of Phillies cards, where little tiny Kevin Harts like a little tiny Kevin Hart is in the image somewhere on the card. So keep an eye out for the Kevin Hart ones. The funniest one I've seen is him throwing a baseball, and the baseball's like this giant in his hand because Kevin Hart is so small.
If you grab the Phillies in any break yet, you might want to go through your base just to double check because we didn't even know it was a thing.
We didn't even know it was a thing until we started seeing it pop on social media. It was unannounced.
Yeah.
They've done stuff like this in the past where like they hid Abraham Lincoln in the back of a card. They hid Babe Ruth or they hid George Bush in the back of a card.
Right.
And they've done some of that kind of stuff in the past. They hid Santa Claus.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So kind of fun. They hid Kevin Hart in some Phillies cards.
Ridadair asked, is it by design that a user can't see the draft order that they set once a random is run? I think we deal with just a lack of real estate with that. We only have so much room to be able to show the draft, and then, like, I don't even know, like, would it be a different tab that you see your, because it would have to be different for every individual person.
Yeah, maybe we could park it in their order history.
Yeah, but then I feel like that gets confusing too, or where that would live, because the order history, as it is right now, just sent you to the break event.
The break event, right. Yeah, so showing each person their original draft order.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be tough.
That'd be tough. We can look at that. Essentially a way for me to see the order that I locked in after I locked it in, I think is the question. Well, we can take a look at that and see if there's a way to do that or not.
Right.
We have not heard anything on the print run of Series 2 hockey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, we probably got way cut, and everyone that we promised cases to probably
all
can't get up
everybody
anymore.
everybody that we told are getting Series 2 cases. Sorry, print run's way down. We don't. You get a 10% allocation of what you originally locked in.
And Bedard's back, baby. He
Is he
played
back?
last night.
Did he?
Yep.
Ooh.
Bubble Bedard. He got the full bubble on.
So do you think that he's the favorite then for Calder, or do you think that Faber is done enough to get himself in the running?
I don't know what the odds are. I think Faber's in the running, but you've got 5 guys that are up there. I'm assuming Bedard is still the favorite.
Are you impressed that I knew that?
Yeah, one guy.
I know one thing from hockey.
I'm actually curious to see what the rookie of the year, the Calder odds.
Like the Vegas odds on Calder.
Yep.
Yeah.
I bet Faber's top 5.
Any other questions? We're not going to stay live for a really long time, but definitely if there are any other questions that you guys want to drop on us.
Faber's number 2 right now. He's plus 300.
Ooh.
With Bedard only minus 250. That's actually pretty close.
Ooh.
Funny.
Right.
Yeah, we've got our meeting with Steve and the development team, so this will be
this is a good time for Q&A actually, because our tech meeting for Uncommon is actually right after this Q&A.
Yep.
So Steve is here. We actually get to go sit with him. We get to crunch through all of these things and then go back to our development guys and crush it. Do we have more comments here?
Yeah. Brad said the Kevin Harts are numbered.
Ooh.
Did they jack? So Brad asked, did they jack the price of Series 2 hobby, or is that just a rumor? I think Upper Deck Flagship is up slightly in price, but not like a major price increase. I think what you're seeing, Brad, is just the secondary
price.
market pricing of those boxes going up.
Upper Deck did not jack the price.
Right.
The Upper Deck price to us has stayed pretty much exactly the same. What you're seeing in pre-sale prices is just the market, driving that price up. Ultimately, collectors are, you guys know how it works. Generally, for hockey, it's David Adams and Steel City, and as people are buying, the prices go up. Right now, they're like $300 a box for pre-sale. We're seeing the same thing on all of the 23-24 hockey. SP Authentic Hockey, we saw pre-selling at $500 to $600 a box because of the Bedard chase. But let's be honest, like a Bedard O-Pee-Chee base rookie is a $50 card today, and I'm not sure in the history of O-Pee-Chee, modern O-Pee-Chee hockey, there's ever been a $50 card pulled from the entire product.
Right.
And here's a base card that's selling for $50.
Yeah, 50 plus 85. I know I've seen people selling for 75, 65. Like that tells me that I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. I mean, the wax price, and this is throughout the board on every single sport, every single product, it's always directly in line with what the singles are selling for.
Yeah.
So when you have Bedard, O-Pee-Chee base rookie selling for 85, you think, okay, what's his Young Gun base gonna be?
Yep.
And O-Pee-Chee's up to like 150 a box right now. So Series 1 at 300,
Yep.
PSA 10 Bedard Young Guns are going to be massive.
Yep. Question from I Love Titus and Amel. I noticed a price change to end in 9 and 2. So we just made that change Wednesday.
Yeah.
Where our prices no longer end in 5s.
5s and 0.
Fives. Yeah, 5s. You'll notice our prices in Pick Your Teams end in 9s. And the reason they end in 2s on the 3 caser is because it's 9 times 3 cases minus a $5 discount. That's how we run the pricing on the 3 case breaks. But we did change it to end in 9s. There is a reason for that, and the truth is we always were 5s when we were on 5s and 0s when we were on Facebook, because everybody had to manually add it together, right? Like when we were filling on Facebook, everybody had to, when they grabbed 3 teams, do the math for what they had to send us in a payment. So we kept it on 0s and 5s for simple math purposes. The 9s allow us a little, one, we don't have to simplify that math anymore, but it does allow us to change our pricing strategy a little bit. What we're finding is it's easier to discount from 9s, and it's easier to get a team from, let's say, a team that's $35 to $29. So the goal with the 9s was just to give us a little bit more flexibility to move teams below thresholds.
And to really hone in the pricing.
And really hone in the pricing a little bit better than we've been able to do with 5s and 0s. Going from 55 to 49 is really the main reason we've been able to do that. So, Yep, that was kind of a decision as we were pricing out. And the truth is, here's how this happened. Emil and I are building out pricing for Series 1 baseball, and we're working on team pricing, and we just weren't happy with where some of the middle teams and the middle teams and lower teams were at. We're like, man, we feel like these need to be a little bit less, but we can't really make them $10 less, or we don't get to the right number. And then we're looking at a team like the Reds, which we knew was going to be high demand, probably going up in price, and we had them at 145, and we're like, there's no difference from us. There's no difference between 145 and 149, so we can bump the Reds from 145 to 149, $4, and that allows us to take this other team from 55 to 49 and put them down $6.
Yep.
Right?
We did that with some 25
and
teams
we did
to
that,
19.
Yeah, we went with some 25 teams to 19. So by moving one team up $4, we can actually move another team down $6. And so that's kind of how that evolved. And what that did is it made us ask ourselves, why do we do 5s and 0s?
Right.
Is this necessary? And we say, hey, this is why we did 5s and 0s, because of Facebook. We're not confined to that anymore. This is better. It helps us price teams more accurately and effectively. And at the end of the day, the total price of the break was exactly the same.
And we felt way better.
And we felt way better about the pricing distribution across the teams. Yep. So, You know, so it may look like, oh, there's an extra $4. That's actually not what happened. The sum of the teams is actually the exact same from the 9s to the 5s. It just let us distribute the dollars a little bit more equitably to the teams.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's why we made the change. That's a great question. I'm glad somebody made that observation and noticed that. So
Right. Brad made a good comment there about. I mean, that's kind of the thing. I mean, there's a lot of other breakers out there that will just copy paste what else they see. I mean, we go in every single product. Every single product.
So we've always done this. We have a formula that we've built where, you know, we're intentionally analyzing checklists, determining our perceived ROI of individual players and how that translates to teams, and weighting the pricing of our teams relative to their potential ROI, not their just flat out popularity, right? And we feel like that process dials us in to more accurate a spread of pricing across the teams than other people who are just kind of shooting from the hip. We see it all the time on pre-sales, and the Reds are going to go up in Series 1. So if you're a Reds fan, get your Reds now because they're going up. Probably Saturday morning, they're going up. So yeah, we put a lot of work into pricing to make sure that it's a really good balance, an appropriate balance.
Yep. And I think that's a good segue into, Brad, I saw your earlier question. Will the Bedard chase in 23-24 hockey impact other teams for pick your team because we want to be at market? I think it positively affects the other team because the product is not more expensive because of the Rangers, right? The product is more expensive because of Bedard. That extra value comes and goes to the Chicago Blackhawks spot, which allows us to charge the exact same for all the other teams.
It really, in a break, doesn't affect all of the other teams. The team that is causing the increase in price of the product is the one that absorbs the cost of that team. So, if you're a Wild fan, you're not impacted by Bedard driving the price of a product up.
Correct.
Right?
You're impacted by Brock Faber.
You're impacted by Brock Faber, but you're not impacted by how Bedard has driven the price.
Yep.
Same thing in
football.
In Prism football. The Texans take the brunt of the increase in price of the product because of CJ Stroud, not the other teams.
Yeah, there's zero chance that we would be able to offset a Bedard increase, a CJ Stroud increase,
by charging $10 extra per other team.
Yeah, because no one would buy those teams. Those teams, the value is
they
not there.
They have to be priced appropriate to the value of their chase in the product.
Correct.
Yeah. I love Titus and Emil said, when a team sits and then discounted, do you build that price in when it drops versus just pricing it at a discounted price from the start? Our original pricing is the price that we need to sell at to hit our target margins, and to hit our target margins for the break and the market price of the case. When we discount teams, that is us taking a hit, essentially taking a hit and absorbing a discount, as not meeting our margin targets. So we're not pricing higher out of the gates to compensate for potential discounts. We're pricing it at what we think those teams should be priced at based on the market and based on the checklist. And then if we ultimately have to discount something, then that's just coming out of our pocket. Good question.
Yep. All right, about 10:45 now. Should we get to last
10:45,
call?
last call for questions.
This was a good one. This is a fun Q&A. We'll and like I said, we're gonna go into the development meeting here and hopefully get some answers on when we can expect some changes. Stay tuned for more tests on the drafted team break. because we'll definitely be running some more tests on that, and hopefully with some improvements from there.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you guys posted as much as we can on when we can actually see this. You know, when we'll plan on seeing this.
I want to address I love Titus and Emil again. So, you know, the follow-up comment then is, I feel like breaks would fill faster if you told people this is the last discount. I fear people are waiting for discounts. We know people are waiting for discounts. All I can say there is we appreciate when you guys don't intentionally wait for discounts, but we also understand collector and consumer behavior is sometimes to wait for discounts. You know, we hope people are grabbing their teams as they want, but ultimately, we can't take the position of this is our last discount because we're committed to getting a break full, right? And what I'm not going to do is say this is our last discount and then let the break sit there for 6 hours because I'm not willing to eat $10, right? So that's why we do what we do. You know, it affects our margin. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, we want to get these breaks full. And sometimes that means, and ultimately, sometimes that means us losing money, because we have to discount to get something full. It happens, regularly that we lose money on a break to get it full. But that's our commitment to you guys to keep getting them full and keep getting breaks, going so that we're just not perpetually canceling breaks. We actually, one of our goals for 2024 was to lower our percentage of canceled breaks. So when we did our 2023 year-end meeting and started setting our goals and KPIs for 2024, that was one of them. We want to cancel less breaks. We know that sometimes that's going to cost us more money in discounts. There are always going to be times where, man, we only got 10 spots full. There's literally nothing we think we're going to be able to do to get it over the hump, and we cancel it. But our overall goal is for a better collector experience to cancel less breaks, and even if that means that we got to eat it a little bit some of the times.
Yep.
And then ultimately, we're trying to bring more people to the platform. You guys can help us immensely with this by inviting your friends, by posting your hits and tagging us about, hey, look at this break that I hit on Uncommon and with Real Sports Cards, and tagging us on Twitter and tagging us on Instagram. Do that outside of our own groups, like do it in other groups on Facebook. The more people we can bring into this community, the more collectors that can make this place their home, the faster these breaks will fill. And that translates into us being able to post more breaks, doing maybe a little bit less discounting, but ultimately bringing you more breaks, canceling less breaks, all of those kinds of things. And that's ultimately our job. And we're doing a lot from a marketing perspective to execute on that. But you guys, honestly, like your testimonies about doing business with us and your experience with us is 1,000 times more impactful from than a paid advertisement from me. When we've seen it when somebody posts in a different Facebook buy sell trade group, like, look at this card that I hit in Real Breaks, and all of a sudden we have 100 people join. We see that. So thank you for those of you that already do that. It's also one of the reasons we're doing free Mag Pros for Money Mitt hits. We want you to put your Money Mitt hit in a Mag Pro with our logo on it and share it all over social media. So hey, you guys know that I'll do a little bit of bribing. I bribed you to test out this feature, and I'm gonna bribe you with a branded Mag Pro so that you take a picture of your card and show us a little bit of love on social media. So, but ultimately, we want to do more for you guys, to just continue to make this a better experience. Let's see. Jake says, with the store selling your own cards, does that mean you might grab some last teams to fire it off and sell the cards opened in store? No. We will not be participating in our own breaks in that way. We used to do that. When we started Real Breaks, I would eat the last 3 teams so that we could break. Ultimately, it's better for us to discount those and get them sold. So I don't disagree that having a referral program would be cool. For us, it's something that is on our future feature list. It just hasn't been in front of other things that we want to do to this point. So, yep.
Yeah, definitely been something that we've talked about in the past.
We've definitely talked about, yep. Yep, we've talked about referral codes. We've talked about, like first time user codes, first time break codes, some of those kinds of things. Like we've talked about some of those. We just, we've got this funnel of features, right? We've got funnel of features, and we prioritize that funnel, one based on a number of things. Biggest collector impact, biggest operational impact for us sometimes, could be biggest ROI. Maybe something's just really expensive to build and isn't that huge of a deal, from an ROI perspective. So yeah, all of our future feature development is based on what the feature is and what kind of an impact can it have and how much does it cost us to build it.
Maddie, if you haven't seen the shop yet, we did some improvements in terms of memorabilia here in the last couple weeks. So in our lounge now, we have some pretty awesome pieces. We actually threw some baseballs in the case as well.
We've got
one of those cases.
We've got Tom Brady, Michael Jordan,
Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid,
Tiger Woods.
Yep, and all those are for
autographed
sale.
memorabilia pieces out in the studio.
Yep,
or in the lounge.
correct.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I think that is our time for today.
Yep.
Thank you for helping us test our new feature. We look forward to coming back with a more polished version to test again. And I'm excited about this feature. I hope you guys are excited about this feature. Go buy into Tom's Plain Random. But have fun. Series 1's been great. And we're going to keep the momentum on Series 1, so keep filling those breaks. And we'll see you in the next Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.